Hello, and welcome back to this blog income report for month 4 of the Project Colven live case study that we're doing. This is a blog that we purchased back in late December, early January, and the whole goal is to flip it to over $100,000 evaluation in the next 12 months. And it's been interesting. It's been interesting, just to say the least. If you are watching, if this is the first time you're watching this video in the case study, be sure to go check out the income reports for month 0, month 1, month 2, and month 3, just so that you can get a little bit of a background as to what we're going to be talking about. Otherwise, here we are. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. If I can get this slide to change. Oh, and hope you like the new format. I've been inspired by a lot of the other case studies that are out there on YouTube. A lot of people just happen to be using, Google Slides or PowerPoint. That's what it's called, to present everything. And hopefully this is going to be a little clearer for you. Rather than just staring at my ugly mug for the next, few minutes. But regardless, let me know down in the comments if you like this new format, if it's easier for you to consume and kind of understand what it is I'm talking about, rather than just listening to me ramble on. So, first of all, before we get started, this case study is being sponsored by Keyword Chef, niche website builders, and Ezoic. Great services, especially Keyword Chef. I just definitely love Keyword Chef to death, but more on them later in the video. So what is this video going to cover? This is going to talk about the newest traffic numbers for month 4 of this case study, the income for month 4 so far, the Ezoic Premium onboarding. We were able to get onto Ezoic Premium, and I'm going to tell you a couple of things about it that I was able to figure out while I'm starting to use it and be able to make more money with it, which immediately I started making more money with it, which is great. This is probably the coup de grace right here. I purchased an age domain and used it to try to help the authority of the site. It's a big deal. All right. This is pretty a big deal for this Project Colven case study, but looking forward to how it's going to help us in terms of getting the site's evaluation up to where I want it to be in the next 12 months, hopefully sooner. We'll see from there. We'll then talk about the expenses that we did in month 4, the problems that I dealt with this month, the things that I dealt with this month. It's the way it is, and I want to try to give you as much of an insight as to what it's like to run a blog business like this and the types of things you're going to have to deal with and get over sometimes, and we'll talk about that. And then our goals, what we're going to be looking forward to accomplish in month 5. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's go ahead and not leave the elephant in the room. Let's not bury the lead. Let's start talking about the traffic and the income. So the top one is going to be the traffic for March. The bottom one is the traffic for April. As you can see, not much has changed. The users was 5,100 in March, and then it went down to 5,800. Went up to 5,800 in April. The page views went from 7,200 in March, and then to 7,900. So not real huge increases. This is kind of the comparison here. March had more days than April did, so there's like an extra day, but I figure, why not? But see, so there weren't like huge increases. In the previous month, I think we had increases of like 40% in traffic, which was great. Don't get me wrong. But just this month, only an increase of about 13% in terms of users, about 8% in terms of page views. Our bounce rate took a little bit of a hit, but I mean, that's less than 1%, so I'm not too worried about that. Our average session duration went down a little bit. That's probably because of a change that I made in the ads, but 4% isn't that terrible, so I'm going to continue letting it ride just for another month or so, and we'll get into what that change was later in the video. And then the pages, the pages per session went down about 3%. If the changes are less than 5%, I'm not really too worried about it. If you have drastic changes of more than 5%, 10%, and if things are more into affecting the bottom line, then I'm going to be a lot more worried. But I'm not too worried of a percentage change of less than 4 to 5%. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the income. So the income, it went down this month. It did. And a big reason why the income went down was because the EPMV just took a massive shot in the arm. So we have been averaging, you see here, about $26. And in previous months, it was closer to 30. And April just destroyed us. And a big reason for that is because it's the end of the quarter. January, February, March, that's the end of a quarter. And usually, companies' budgets reset, or however they want to do it, to the point to where, they're not spending as much in ads at that particular point. So it went from, as you can see down here at the bottom, it went from about $26 to about $21, which is down about 20% for how much money I was making per 1,000 viewers or readers onto the site. So the revenue went down only 3%. So it went from $162 to $158. But even with the revenue and the EPMV going down, you see here that traffic was up in terms of what Ezoic was recording versus Google Analytics, but it's up 20%. Page views were up 25%, and average engaged page views were up. The average engagement time went down, and the bounce rate went down. So, I'm more happy that the page views have gone up in this particular instance, because the EPMVs and the amount of money that advertisers are spending, that's going to normalize and go up and down as the year goes on. But if I can get the traffic where it needs to be, then everything else can kind of be fixed. So I'm not too worried about it. There was a bit of a dip, but I can tell you right now, so far, I'm already technically in the next month, and numbers have started to rebound literally since the first day of the month. So you'll get those updates in our next video. Excuse me, in the month 5 video of this case study. So that's basically where we are there. Here's the revenue for Amazon. As you can see, even the Amazon revenue was down a little bit. It had a couple of returns, which is kind of annoying. But I mean, it happens. So made about $31 last month. I believe it was around $46. But again, Amazon isn't my primary thing. This is just from links that happen to be in a page here, happens to be in a page there, maybe a couple from the AAWP plugin. But other than that, I'm not too worried about the Amazon affiliates. I was able to get another affiliate program on, which is amazing and great, and I'm glad that happened. But we'll talk about that more later in the video. So how many articles were added this month? We added 18 total, which is around 20,000 words, which is about 1,115 or so average for the month. I'm considering increasing the content production on the site. I want to double it. So I want to get it from the 17 to 20 that we're doing to probably 35 to 40, because the way that the site is bouncing back from the new content that's getting on there, it's giving me hope that, okay, the site's responding well, and now I can really start to kind of charge it with just a few more articles. It'll probably be either May or June where I'm going to start adding more articles with it, but we'll see how it goes depending on how the rest of the businesses that I'm running happens to go for the month. So first of all, let's go ahead and talk about the Ezoic Premium onboarding. So this was a no-brainer for me, all right, to go ahead and get these, to get Ezoic Premium onto the site. When you get invited to Ezoic Premium, it's after they've already analyzed the traffic that's coming to your site, so that they can almost, pretty much with 100% certainty guarantee that you're going to make more money than you're going to be spending to use Ezoic Premium, right? So because of that, sometimes people are kind of stuck behind it because they're like, oh, I don't want to have to spend money to make money. And honestly, that's the way that it works, right? You should be able to have the idea of just spending money to make money. And even if you're not spending money, you're probably spending time. So the question always is, do you have more time than money, or more money than time? And then from that point, you can make a decision as to how you want to proceed. So far, it worked out well. Now, I didn't turn on Ezoic Premium until later in the month, so there wasn't much of a change that you were able to see in the numbers that we just went over, but we'll definitely be able to see them in the month 5 part of the site, or part of this case study. But the EPMVs already have jumped from around $21 to $40 plus, and some days it's been a little higher than that. And that's outstanding, just crazy outstanding. That's double the revenue right there, if you really think about it. So the month 5 for this is going to be exciting, and I'm totally down for what it's going to look like then. A big question a lot of people do ask is, why does Ezoic charge for premium? And it's a legitimate question because other networks don't really charge for premium, right? But you have to remember, in order for, these companies to make money themselves, they have to make money somewhere. Now, some places might not tell you that they're taking money off the top, but at least Ezoic is saying, okay, this is how much we're going to charge you to make sure that you get the premium ad partners. And a big reason for that is because they independently negotiate with those premium partners. So I'm going to attempt to explain this, and even to Ezoic's own admission, they say that they don't explain this the greatest in terms of trying to get more people to understand why you should pay for Ezoic Premium to be able to get those premium ad partners, right? So let's talk about our sponsors, all right? So first of all, Keyword Chef. Keyword Chef is an amazing tool, right? It shows you exactly what keywords to use using the exact methods that we use to find good keywords on Google. We're talking about common questions. We're using wildcards, just saying, if you're in, maybe a sports niche and you're like, okay, do ball players, and you put a little wild card. Keyword Chef is going to show you every single one, how much traffic they're getting, how many forums and weak type websites are on the first page, and then let you know whether or not you should, really go for that article or not. It's a great way to find keywords, and they were the first sponsor for this Project Colven case study. Definitely recommend them. I'll be sure to put a link down in the description so that you can give them a try. If you do use that link, you will get like 1,000 free credits, and you can really do, a lot of your research right there, with 1,000 free credits. If you're able to find 30 or 50 article ideas, boom, right there, you got your work cut out for you for the next few months. Another sponsor is Niche Website Builders. They are helping to sponsor this case study as well, because they're going to be giving us some HARO services, which is Help a Reporter Out. We'll get more into that later. Actually, I'll put the video down in the description. We created a video about it as well, just talking about the whole process of how that works, and as well as being sponsored by Ezoic. Ezoic is, it's a great way to be able to monetize your site, even if you're not getting very much traffic to it, because they don't have any traffic minimums. You can literally start using Ezoic from the time that your site is live. If you're getting 5, 10, 100 people to your site per month, which isn't a ton, but you're still not making any money with it, you can put it on Ezoic and you can at least start seeing some money coming in, which for some people is a big deal, because now you can see that, oh, I did this and I made money. I just got to do more of it, right? So these are the links to all of our sponsors. Please check them out down in the description below, and give them a try. Please support our sponsors. They are awesome companies. I do not sponsor bad companies, so Keyword Chef, Niche Website Builders, Ezoic. I know the guys who run each one of these, and they're all stand-up people, so go ahead and give them a try to help grow your business faster. So let's go ahead and jump into our the age domain purchase. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? So first of all, what is an age domain? So it's a domain name with a history of being used as a live website in the past. So it could be a website that existed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 20 or so years ago. And because they've been around for so long, Google understands, Google knows what the site's about and what they've talked about in the past, and how you might be able to acquire the site and be able to kind of keep going, just like a site maybe rebrands or something of that nature. Now, the reason why you want to make sure that you are always on point when it comes to this, and when I say on point, I mean you got to stay relevant to where the website was before. So if you had a cooking website and you get the domain and then you start trying to build a bowling website on it, you're probably not going to get very much benefit from using an age domain that way. But if it's an old cooking site and you're able to acquire that domain, now you can create another cooking site on it and just keep going. We're not going to get into the whole, nuts and bolts of exactly how age domains work, but I did want to give you an idea of the reasons why someone would want to invest in an age domain. Usually they are years old, and hence the name aged, right? To be honest, the site that we purchased to do this Project Colven case study, that was an aged site that hadn't been down, or it didn't just the domain didn't expire or something of that nature. It was just passed on. So it's a practice that literally everyone does. Even if you buy an aged website, it's the same difference. Now, a big reason why, probably the main reason actually, why people will purchase age domains is because of the stupid high authority and relevant backlinks that you can get. So if an old site existed and they have backlinks from like huge authoritative type websites like newspapers and the Wall Street Journal, or places like that you would probably never be able to get that link. And if you did, you'd probably have to spend years or thousands and thousands of dollars in order to get it. Yet you can get it pretty cheaply with an age domain. So there's plenty of different places that talk about it, including the website flip.com, niche website builders, niche website builders, and podcast. Check out these podcasts and YouTube channels. They go very, very in depth as to how these things work, and I'd recommend any one of them. To be honest, a lot of the knowledge that I've gotten from age domains have come from these resources, so just check them out. The podcast part of it, that's more just seeing other people who have used age domains and the type of success that they've had with it. So it's nice to be able to hear that and see that, okay, other people are doing it, it makes sense, just go ahead and give it a try. So why did I go with buying one? Oh, so the big reason why I went ahead and bought an age domain was because I wanted to kind of not short circuit, that's a terrible word. I wanted to hurry up and kind of cut down on the amount of time, I guess I should say, for this to work. Plus, I wanted to go after bigger, more competitive keywords because I happen to be in a pretty competitive niche. It's a niche that pays very, very well, but it is a competitive niche. So because of that competitiveness, I thought, if I was able to buy an age domain and kind of skip the quote unquote sandbox that I might put myself in by just now adding new content to the site, then if I had an age domain, a lot of this stuff should be able to rank faster. It should be able to leapfrog other sites that may not have the same authority. So I'm hoping that ends up working out. It's a risk either way, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to just give it a try and see how it goes, and then be able to report to you and say, hey, does this work? Does it not work? And then whether or not you should even consider doing it in the future. So the one that I acquired, I found a relevant domain. So this is the hard part, because usually you will have your niche and you're ready to go, and then you're like, okay, let me get an age domain for it. And you start looking around and you can't find one, right? And you start going to all these different marketplaces trying to find a good age domain. And it might actually take you a month or two, if not longer, for you to find one. I think I started looking for one probably around 2 months ago, and one just popped up about 3 weeks ago, so I probably looked around for about 4 to 5 weeks before I actually found a decent one and went ahead and pulled the trigger on it. Now, the cool thing about this age domain that I acquired, it has backlinks from places like the Wall Street Journal, bbc.co.uk, USA Today, and a whole laundry list of niche relevant websites. So these are other websites that are in my niche that are linking to this domain, which usually gives it much bigger kick than if it was just any link, right? So these backlinks help define the domain as what my niche is. So just to make this a little more clear, if I happen to be, maybe making a site on swimming, and I have a backlink from ESPN, that makes a big difference, because now ESPN is kind of backing what I'm saying on the site, and that's going to give me a much bigger kick than if I were to have a link from maybe a USA Today or something like that, right? Because it's more relevant. But sometimes the sheer power of some of these websites that exist online, even if it's not 100% niche relevant, just because it's a big site, right? So like Wall Street Journal, BBC, USA Today, these are huge, huge sites. So even if it's not 100% in line with where my niche is going to be, it's still a powerhouse of a backlink to have. I remember, let's see, go down to this part right here. So Mike from Below Average Blogger, if you haven't checked him out, he has a really cool YouTube channel. By the way, he's not a below average blogger, but he was trying to get a link from Denver Post, and he said that he contacted him and was trying to see exactly how he can get one. And they came back with him saying, oh yeah, give us $5,000 and we'll do it. Yikes, right? $5,000 just for a single backlink, right? And that's pretty nuts. That's pretty crazy, but just want to give you kind of an idea of how much these backlinks really are worth. The domain that I did acquire is a domain, has a domain rating through Ahrefs as a 25, which is pretty good, because the domain rating that the site had before was like 1.2. It was super, super low. So anyway, went ahead with it because of these just amazing domains here. You know, if each one of these, Wall Street Journal, BBC, USA Today, all wanted $5,000 for a backlink, and I paid for each one of them, that's $15,000 just in backlinks, right? That's something that I don't even know is going to actually help the site. Yet I was able to get it for $1,900. You know, it wasn't very. It becomes a no-brainer at that point, right? Where you're probably getting $15,000 worth of backlinks here, plus, like I mentioned, the whole host of other ones that I didn't mention here because obviously it would give away the niche. But it became a no-brainer, and in many ways, I know Mark over at Niche Website Builder says that age domains are actually undervalued because of the type of power that they can really have. So $1,900 on that. This will be a growth cost that we're going to include in it, but we'll go over that when we go over to the expenses for the Project Colven case study. All right, so now, is it working? So we redirected the domain on April 17th, and the domain rating was 1.2. So it was low, right? It wasn't that great. But I mean, it's good enough. A lot of people build, pretty, substantial websites on a domain rating of, very, very little. I implemented it on April 17th, and within about 2 weeks, the domain rating for the site jumped up to 24. It went from 1.2 to 24. Now, granted, this is a Ahrefs number, so Google doesn't recognize, these types of numbers, right? They're like, we don't have a domain rating. They don't care about it. At least they don't tell us that they care about it. But armed with this information now, if I have a site that's strong enough to be able to now compete with some bigger dogs in my industry, now I can go after bigger, better keywords and have a better shot because I understand that, okay, I'm going to be able to shoot my shot a lot better because I have a stronger website that's built on the backlinks. And because it's a relevant backlink that talks exactly about what I'm, talking about on the site, then I should be fine. I should be. So, but again, at the end of the day, it's all a risk. I won't say that it's not, but I'm an experienced blogger. This is a calculated risk that I'm going to take just to see. And based on a lot of things that I've seen, it's not that big of a risk. A lot of people are having really good success with it. And worst case scenario, the domain just acts as a fresh domain, and the site just takes a little longer, but it doesn't mean that the site's not going to grow in the first place, right? It's still going to grow. It's just a matter of time. And hopefully having it a little higher up is going to help with the traffic and the income a lot faster, and hopefully get it to that $100,000 evaluation that we're going for. All right, so now let's talk about some operating expenses, or just expenses in general. There were no operating expenses for the site this month. We already prepaid for the hosting and everything, so that's a big fat zero. That's what we really want. We did do a couple of growth type expenses, so I went ahead and took advantage of a lifetime deal over at AppSumo. I know I'm addicted to the AppSumo deals, but they have a deal where you can get $39 for 100 photos. That's actually a typo. I got 200 photos for $78. A big reason why I went ahead and went with that expense was because getting some real good stock imagery rather than always just depending on what I take with my phone or what I might find at some of these free places like Pexels and Morgue Files and all those places. This saves time because I don't have to dig as deep to find a perfect photo because Deposit Photo has literally millions of good photos to use. Sometimes I run into situations where a photo needs to be very specific and I can't help but do it myself, but it does save time when you start scaling, being able to have these deposit photos available. So that was a $78 one-time deal where I get images for 39 cents, which doesn't get any better than that. And then another growth cost would be the age domain. And this would be about a $1,900 or so expense. So let's look at the expenses for month 4. Now this is going to be without the growth costs, right? So Ezoic revenue was $158, and you combine that with the Amazon revenue, $31.63, for a total of $190.03, which unfortunately is down 8% from April. But as we mentioned before, a big reason for that was because of the EPMVs that got shot down at the beginning of April, but they seem to have recovered nicely, especially since we jumped on Ezoic Premium. No expenses. The total for the month is $190.03, which gives us a total. So far, the site has generated $682.65, which is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. When we look at sorry, this is supposed to be with the growth cost, not without, but this is with the growth cost. So the growth cost would be the content that we added to the site, which came with the $472, the age domain, which is $1,911.65, and then the deposit photos, which is $78. This will give us a total net of $24.50 for the month, and then $34.75.31 total. So technically I'm in the hole, $3,475 so far in the website. But don't just look at that and take it for face value. Think, oh my goodness, you're down $100 or so. But you have to look at it a different way. So for example, I did get this email, which was kind of cool. Somebody has already found the site and has shot me at least 2 emails so far, asking to buy it. I thought it was like kind of a scam at first, but then they've been following up, and I finally responded to them just to see what their budget was. Because I mean, I'm curious. I'm not actually in the market to sell it right now, but I was curious and I wanted to see what they had to say. They haven't responded back yet, but we'll see exactly how it goes. But you can see here, I'm just checking about my previous email. Looking to buy it from you. Do you still happen to own it? Would you consider selling it to me? Looking to acquire it by next Monday. Thanks. So this is a real email. It's totally legit. I don't want you to. It seems legit to me. All right. So that's what I'll say. But it is pretty cool, and it made me think that people are finding a site and they're seeing it to the point to where, hey, I'd like to buy this site, which gives me a nice little pat on the back that, hey, the site's doing well. So let me give you an idea of the site evaluation, right? Because it seems like, we're down $3,400. So what do we do, right? So the last 3-month revenue, the site has generated $227. So if you take the multiple, an average multiple of between 35 to 45x on the site's worth on the low end is $7,957, or around $8,000. On the high end, the site's worth about $10,215. So I'm not in the market to sell it yet. I was just curious to see what that lady really wants, and see exactly how much they're willing to pay for it. If they're willing to pay a crazy amount, I might sell it, right? But at this rate, I'm only in the hole $3,400, but the site's worth $10,000, right? So it shows that there's a positive indication there. When I acquired the site, it was only making $155 a month, so it's up 32% from when I purchased it at $5,890 back in December. So the changes that I've made to the site so far has increased the value of the site anywhere from 27 to 46%. So again, look at this as an investment, not just as you're spending money just to spend money. The site itself is an asset that can be sold at pretty much any point. So if you look at it this way, and you look at it, even if you wanted to do best of the best, high end, I would have doubled my money or almost doubled it, because it was $5,800, and then the high end is $10,200. So that's not bad that you could double your money in about 3.5-4 months, right? That's pretty good. If I was in the market of trying to just flip it immediately and then move on to the next thing, I could, I could sell this for $10,000 and go buy a bigger, better site, and then do the exact same thing and then double its revenue, and then just keep doing it over and over again. It's great, but I've invested a decent amount of money into the content on the site, and that content hasn't had time to fully stretch its legs. So if I did sell it, I would have to sell it for more just so I can recoup the cost of writing the articles. But I mean, we're not selling yet, so it's not a big deal. I'll probably be looking to sell, or at least get a good valuation on the site by December or January of 2023, and that's how we're going to go with that. So what did I have to deal with this month? Quite a bit. Core Web Vitals got thrown out of whack. Gosh, Core Web Vitals has just been the bane of my existence with the site for whatever reason. But anyways, at the end of the month, it did get fixed, especially toward the beginning of month 5. So it's finally showing all greens. The LCP for desktop is still trash. It's just low for no reason. From what I can tell with talking to other bloggers about it, it's something that a lot of people are dealing with right now. So I think Google's still trying to figure out how they want their desktop LCP to be calculated and work. But as of right now, it's still thrown out of whack. But the website still passes Core Web Vitals, which is what we're more important with dealing with. One reason why it now passes Core Web Vitals was because I realized this little weird thing. So with YouTube, if you just go to YouTube and you copy the link and then use Gutenberg to kind of embed it onto your site, that was slowing down the site. And it was annoying that was slowing down the site because it just kept popping up in PageSpeed Insights. So I went ahead and read somewhere that don't just copy down here. Don't just hit this copy button. Actually click the embed code right here, right? And use the embed code that they have and use that to do a custom HTML on your page, on your blog post. And that's going to help with the page speed. It won't take as long because I guess it doesn't have to load as many YouTube things. I'm not really sure, but that's just something I had to kind of figure out and dealt with. So I went back to almost all of my posts and changed them out from using this embed code by just putting in the YouTube link and actually doing the actual embed code onto the page. So next up is I recreated a few articles for the age domain. So, without getting too much into the weeds of it, if an age domain has very good backlinks that point to an article on the old site, it's best to recreate that article onto your site and then send those links there. You don't want to copy, you still want to put it in your own words, but I had a couple of writers write some good content to go ahead and put in that space. I finally got approved for my dream affiliate program. It took 4 months, which is insane that it took 4 months. But imagine had I given up in month 2 and given up in month 3. They finally approved me, and now I'm actually starting to send some clicks to them as well. Not many, but we're going to ramp it up in May for sure. I have the Haro link building campaign with niche website builders where they're going to be doing the pitches for Haro for me and then getting me some backlinks. That's just going to start getting ramped up toward the middle of month 5. Excuse me, the middle of month 5 is when that's going to start ramping. So we'll be getting some decent links back. When it comes to backlinking, I really don't recommend a ton of people do it, especially if you are in the very beginning of building your site, because you need a foundation first before you go out there trying to tell people to link to your content. So have a good foundation. The site right now has almost 100 articles on it, so I feel confident in saying, hey, go check out my site, and see whether or not you can link to it legitimately. But at the end of the day, it just takes time. Haro, you need to be in front of your computer ready to do a pitch 3 times a day, and it's sometimes better to pay someone else to do it. So if you could pay someone else to do it, and then you can concentrate on doing something else, like continuing to add more content to the site, working with affiliate program partners and things of that nature, you can work on things that are going to move the needle faster than a backlink, right? So that's just my views on it right there. I had a premium meeting with Ezoic. So once you are on Ezoic Premium, you can set up a meeting with them where they're kind of review the monetization of your site. I went ahead and went through that with them, and they fixed my mediation. My mediation was kind of working, but it wasn't. So they walked me through a couple of things. Now I'm getting a couple extra bucks a day just from the mediation with Google AdSense being set up properly. That's pretty cool. I would have never gotten that if I didn't have the meeting with Ezoic. So that's just extra money, and it only took like a 10-minute fix for them, obviously. But it was something that I didn't know, but it's fixed now, and that's all that matters. Okay. So what are my goals for May, or goals for month 5, I should say? I want to add at least 20 articles. I might get the 40, but we'll see. But the goal is going to be at least 20. We're still trying to get at least 250 articles on the site by December. And as long as we post at least 17 to 20 articles a month, we should be fine in hitting that goal. We did hit over 100 or almost 100 articles on the site already. So that's great. Traffic is doing really well. We're probably going to hit over 10,000 page views next month, at least fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to be implementing tomb rating SEO, which is a keyword tactic that the niche website builders guys shows how to do. I be sure to put a link down to their YouTube channel so that you can check out how they do their tomb rating SEO. But because of the authority increase from the age domain, I now have a more robust website, right? And I'm like, okay, now I can go after some people, and that's kind of what the idea is there. I'm going to implement that new affiliate program, the dream one that I finally got approved for, and again, start building an email list. I'm hoping to get to this month. I need to build out a sequence in the email auto provider, but auto responder just to get that going. Oh, now what? Go watch the month 6 of the Project Colven case study, right? So if you're watching this now, if you're watching this presently, you're going to have to wait until next month, obviously. If you're watching this in the future, you should be able to click right wherever I'm pointing, somewhere in the middle of the screen, you can click on this video and go on to the next video in the case study. Other than that, catch you guys on the next video.